Right after I graduated high school, I went to our local community college where my best friend at the time and her boyfriend were also attending, along with a lot of their friends who I also became acquainted with. Fast forward to Halloween of 2010. We took my best friend's little sister and brother out trick-or-treating, where her boyfriend ended up joining us. We were towards the end of our route, and one of their friends from college decided to join us as well, which I didn't think anything about at the time other than he gave me weird vibes. I guess that should have been my first clue. After we were done trick-or-treating, we brought the kids back home to go to bed, but my friends wanted to do something to keep the night going, since it was Halloween and all in a college town. It's basically just an excuse to party, just like any other day. They decided on going downtown, but I declined since I wasn't feeling well, which, to be fair, was true, but I was also the only one with a car and didn't want to just be the chauffeur all night, so I decided to go home. A few hours later, I was in bed reading a book. I still live with my mom and my brother, and my phone lit up to a number I didn't recognize. It was the friend that joined us while trick-or-treating. He explained that he got my number from my best friend's boyfriend, and he was concerned that I didn't feel well and insisted on bringing me some soup so I would feel better. Some sort of red flag went off in my head, and I didn't want this guy to know where I lived, so I said no, my mom was taking care of it, but thank you anyway. He got a little pushy, but eventually backed down and proceeded to send many texts about how much fun he was having when we were out and blah, 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 blah. I later found out he bailed on going downtown too because he only wanted to go with me. He then added me on Facebook and went through all of my pictures and liked them. That's basically the second red flag. Being the naive 18-year-old I was, I just thought maybe he was being overly friendly and just a little weird. So I didn't avoid him or anything at school since we hung out with the same people anyway. One day when we didn't have school, he texted me asking if I wanted to go out for lunch, and I should have said no, but I accepted thinking I was going to get a free meal out of it. We met at the restaurant, sat down, and talked and ate. It was super awkward, and then I stupidly mentioned that I wanted to go to the mall to get some stuff. He insisted on driving me there and that his mom could move to the back seat. Wait, what? Apparently, he drove his mom's minivan, brought her with him, and left her in the car while we went on our quote-unquote date. I kept saying that she should come in and join us, and he kept getting really weird about it and kept saying that she was napping and didn't mind waiting. At that point, I started to get very uncomfortable. Luckily, we were done with our food, and I said I needed to leave, thanked him for the food, and got up to go. He kept saying he will meet me at the mall, but I felt like I was put in a weird position, and I am not an assertive person, so I reluctantly said okay. We met at a large store connected to the mall, and I mentioned how I was here looking for a new scarf and started browsing. He picked out the most expensive one he could find and bought it for me and basically threatened me not to return it. It was then I wanted to be left alone, so I said thank you and I was going to go home now. He insisted on walking me out to my car even though we were parked on opposite ends of the mall and his mom was still in the van. And I kept saying it was okay, I was fine, but he was a big guy and even simple walking caused him to break a sweat, but he wouldn't take no for an answer, so we went anyway. We passed by another store and took a quick peek inside. There were a pair of boots that I very quickly, in passing, mentioned that they were cute, but I don't know if I'd wear them. He bought them for me and did the same somewhat threat not to return them because you don't return gifts. Like, dude, what are gift receipts for then? At that point, I got a little firm and told him I wanted some time alone, so please don't walk me out to my car. He accepted and went on his merry way, clearly happy about the purchases he made to show me that he liked me. I go out to my car and wait for probably about 20 minutes. I knew what his van looked like at this point and kept my eye out for it, in case he was going to try to follow me home, but I didn't see anything. I actually ended up going back into the mall to return the boots and the scarf. In reality, I don't want either of them, and I was too uncomfortable accepting gifts from strangers. I don't like owing people, and I have a strange feeling that he was going to use it as some sort of leverage to get something from me. I took the long way home to make sure I wasn't being followed and told my mom about what happened. She was concerned and thought it was strange as well since we didn't really know each other, and it seemed like it was kind of a weird act of desperation. I got a text from him a few hours later saying he hoped I liked his gifts. I responded saying that I returned them because I wasn't comfortable, and he absolutely lost it. My phone kept lighting up with tons of texts. This was before it was easy to block someone and I didn't know how to. The old flip phones. He was absolutely livid that I did such a disrespectful thing. I should be thankful that he got those things for me. So I got angry and told him I didn't ask him for the gifts. He basically threatened me to keep them, and he didn't take no for an answer when I told him I didn't want them. So essentially, he was the one who was disrespecting me. He backed down a lot then. I told him to stop texting me and to leave me alone. I got a few more texts, but eventually he stopped. It was weird at school because I kind of avoided being around my friends when I knew he was there. I still hung out with some of them alone, like my best friend, but when I knew a friend gathering was going on, I wouldn't go. They understood. Now this is where I got stupid. I'm a very, very compassionate person, and 9 times out of 10 I feel horrible when I was mean to someone, even in this instance. I ended up texting the creeper one night apologizing for how rude I was, and he understood where I was coming from, and we had a normal conversation for a little bit until I fell asleep around 11. I know this because I woke up at 2 a.m. Looking at my phone, I saw the last text I sent him was a little before 11 stating that I was tired. After I fell asleep, he sent me one text, saw I didn't respond, texted me again, and saw I didn't respond once again. He kept texting me. We're talking like 30 to 40 texts here. Called me from his cell phone about 10 times, called me from another number about 15 times because he thought I was ignoring him, and then sent one last threatening message. If you don't respond within a half an hour, I'm calling the police. I happened to wake up at 2 a.m., which was an hour after he sent the text, and I flipped the fuck out, texting him that I fell asleep and that he'd better not have called the police. You want to know why he called the police? Because he was interpreting me saying I was tired as I was tired of living. He thought I killed myself. Never mind that it was, basically bedtime when he and I were talking, so yes, me killing myself is the most logical route to take here. I ran into my mom's room and told her everything that happened, and she goes, "For crying out loud. They have better things to do with their time. They aren't going to come check on you." I got back to my room, which looked out to our driveway. Look out the window, see a cop car parked on the street with 2 flashlights walking up the driveway. They knock on the door, and I opened it. And I'm pretty sure the look on my face told them everything. "You Sally?" "Yep." "You know why we're here?" "Yep." "So what happened?" I fell asleep. The police understood and actually called the creep back and told him to leave me the fuck alone, just as I was doing the same thing. He then had the gall to ask for my address again. He's done this numerous times. He wanted to come over and apologize to me and said that he loved me. I told him that he doesn't even know me and had absolutely no reason to be in love with me. His reasoning was that is how he worked. He fell in love first and decided if it was the right person or not. The dude was loony. This put a really big strain on my friendships at the college. His story was much more twisted and painted me as the bad guy, and I ended up making a lot of enemies. Even with my best friend, because he labeled me as a whore. There was another guy interested in me as well among the group of friends, but he was much less assertive, and I didn't give him the time of day. Everyone believed him, though, even though at that time I was still a virgin. I had to drop out of school because that circle of friends was so big, and whenever the creep saw me, he would get irrationally angry and his friends would have to physically hold him back, which was a lot of people because he was massive. I since cut contact with all of them and ended up going to a different school that I love so much more, and I'm in a much better place without all of them in my life. So, creep from school, I hope I never have to see you again.